This is week 4, day 5 of 7 days of XYZ, a YouTube channel where I explore a new topic every week related to companies and technology. This week is about the Swedish Startup System, and today let's talk about seed funding, which is the early stage capital that startups can get whenever they don't have revenues enough to kind of cover their costs. But I've talked about funding in another video, but more shallow. In this video, let's look at the various options in more depth. So seed capital is the capital that you can get in the very early phases of starting up a business. And the reason to why it is so important is that, it kind of democratized the whole idea of starting a business in the first place. Like, most people will not be able to just take money from their savings and start a business because they wouldn't have savings. So in that case, there's options, like either you can kind of raise money from friends and family, and then you have like business angels. And I think that a society that would only have that kind of capital, like from friends and family, would dramatically limit the opportunity for people that, don't have rich friends or family to start businesses, which is in the end of the day very bad. So let's look at the various options and kind of how these various options create a good landscape for starting a business. So first of all, let's talk about 3 various government options. So the first one is Almi, which they have a loan, and the kind of nice thing with this loan is that you can loan 200,000. And then the only thing you risk is like 10% of that money. So like if your company is completely defaulted, you don't have any money to pay, it's still just like 20,000 of those that are the risk. And then you have subsidies, which are, money that you can get without any requirements to give anything back. And those are 25,000 for a person and 100,000 for a company. But the company also has to put in 100,000 to get those 100,000. And then you have Vinnova, which basically have a ton of different, what they call for proposals. And the way it works is that, they have some projects that they want to get funded, and they put those on a website, and then, people can apply for that money. And usually it's like, good for society plus some kind of innovation part. And a final like government funding is a Horizon 2020, which is basically 3 steps. So the first step in this program is 50,000 euro, and the second phase of this program is 5 million euro. And there's different companies that are kind of helping companies apply for these fundings. So there's consultants that charge money for helping writing proposals for these particular programs. And then we have business angels. Business angels are people that typically has like run some kind of business before and have, a bit of money to invest. So let's look at some information about business angels. So 50% of the business angels that are in Sweden are kind of open to invest around Sweden. So it's not only like their closest geographic location, but all around Sweden. Like, and if you look at their track record of deals, like they're actually doing really well. So this is like a very high risk investment to do investment in early stage companies. So if you look at like the 91 exits that they have done in this particular research, 12 say that they made a loss, and 21 said they went like break even, and then 58 said they were doing a profit, which is it sounds very high in my book. Typically, like VCs are having way worse results, but they also maybe, the thing that is not included in this is like how big was the exit, how big was the profit whenever they made profit, because the model for VCs are typically like making a very, very huge profit whenever it works, and then in the other case it's like making a loss, right? So if you would choose a more conservative strategy where the profits would be kind of smaller, I think you could have a higher success rate also. If you look at the European business angels, here's a graph for where they kind of find their deals. So events and information fairs are like 23%. Word of mouth is 22%, and internet and newsletters is 19%. So the biggest sources of finding investment deals for business angels is like meeting someone at an event, or like hearing from someone else, like basically networking, or finding about it in internet or newsletters. And if we look at why they invest, like the European business angels say that their priorities like team, growth potential, idea, concept, and then quality of business plan. But if you look at the Swedish ones say that the entrepreneur is like the first, is by far the most common factor to invest. And then team is also considered fairly highly. And the number of people that are saying the business model is important is also high. So there's a bit different here in terms of how important, Swedish investors think that these options are. And one common trend that I think is also common in Europe in general is that business angels typically both want to and have syndicated. And syndicated is just like a group of business angels doing an investment together. So instead of like one person putting in like 2 million SEK, putting in like 500,000 SEK each. So there's both a trend towards wanting to do this and a trend of actually have been doing this. And these are like the stats for that. So this was a brief overview of kind of the sources of seed capital for startups, and obviously like revenue is also one, like just selling things from day one. But in many cases, companies need some kind of external funding, and in those cases, I think that the Swedish system is complementing in a good way. I think the government options here of like lending 200,000 from the government and only paying back 20,000 if everything goes south is a really good option, because it kind of democratizes entrepreneurship in the way that it makes it possible for people that don't have these like 500,000 or 1 million, either by themselves or among their friends and family, to actually start businesses, which is extremely important. Okay, so that was a wrap up for this seed funding episode. If you like this, please consider subscribing.